Your brain has no idea what time it is, and it's making your most important life decisions based on a timeline that doesn't exist.
You walk through the world convinced your life is a seamless movie. Past, present, future. One continuous story. You believe you learn from your mistakes, that you remember the weight of your choices, that you can accurately predict how a future event will make you feel. You think your identity is a solid thread connecting who you were 10 years ago to who you are today. But the data points to something far more uncomfortable. Your brain doesn't live in a line. It lives on a series of disconnected emotional islands. The conflict isn't just that we're forgetful, it's that we are functionally time blind. You walk back into the same toxic relationship, the same dead-end job, the same self-destructive habit, and every time you're convinced this time is different. Not because you're irrational, but because your system has deleted the emotional data from the last time you were there. You know that last time was bad, but you don't feel the badness anymore. The experience has been stripped of its intensity and reduced to a cold label, a footnote, a warning without heat. And that's where the fracture begins. You claim you learned your lesson, yet you find yourself standing in the exact same spot, wondering how you got there again.
It's as if your mind is running in isolated scenes, where the actor in scene B has no access to the script from scene A. Think about how often you underestimate how much a future task will hurt, or how much you overestimate the joy a new purchase will bring. You believe you know yourself, but your brain keeps sabotaging your future self because it cannot bridge the gap between now and then. You make promises to yourself at night that you have no intention of keeping in the morning. Not because you lack willpower, but because the you who makes the promise and the you who has to execute it are two different entities, living on two different emotional blocks. You treat your past like a foreign country, your future like a fantasy, and you leave your present self to navigate reality without a map. This isn't just a glitch in memory, it's a breakdown in the integration of your existence. You are not a continuous story. You are a collection of shuffled Polaroids. And as long as you believe the movie is playing in order, you'll keep wondering why the ending never changes.
The reason you feel trapped in a loop of the same mistakes is that your brain is structurally incapable of experiencing life as a continuous movie. It doesn't store reality as a timeline. It behaves more like a frantic editor, cutting a chaotic trailer, keeping only the loudest fragments and discarding everything in between. This failure begins with a cognitive rule known as the peak-end rule. According to this principle, your memory doesn't care about duration. It doesn't care about averages. It doesn't care about the whole. It archives only two data points: the most intense moment, the peak, and how the experience ended. Everything else is erased. The hours of boredom, the slow accumulation of friction, the subtle warning signs, the low-grade misery, all of it disappears. That's why you can know a relationship was bad and still miss it. The system deleted the weeks of emotional erosion and left you with a few high-intensity snapshots. What remains is a distorted archive, memories without texture, lessons without weight. But this fragmentation is only half of the failure. The other half is what researchers call affective forecasting. Your brain is remarkably bad at predicting how you will feel in the future. It lacks the temporal hardware to understand that the person you are right now is not the person who will be dealing with the consequences of your decisions tomorrow.
When you're in what psychologists call a hot state, hungry, excited, ambitious, your system becomes blind to how you'll feel in a cold state. That's why you commit to a brutal project during a moment of confidence and feel crushed by it a week later. You're not flaky. Your brain simply fails to bridge current self and future self. It treats the future as fiction, not as a place you will actually have to live. Here, we'll call this glitch the time-blind system. It's the failure to drag real experience from one scene into the next. The time-blind system treats your life as isolated emotional islands, not as a stream. It's why you can hold the idea that a behavior is a mistake, but lack the emotional payload to stop yourself from repeating it. The pain didn't transfer. It wasn't a peak, it wasn't an ending, so it never made the jump. You are navigating existence with a compass that only works in 5-minute intervals. The formula is simple. Your brain doesn't learn in a line. It learns in disconnected, misfiled snapshots.
This creates an illusion of wisdom. You walk around convinced you have experience, that you have maturity. In reality, you're carrying a briefcase full of shuffled Polaroids. You underestimate the effort change requires because you've forgotten the granular texture of past struggle. You over-idealize the future because you can't simulate the daily friction it will demand. You are making life-altering decisions in a vacuum. The you who has to live with them is a stranger to the you making them now. As long as the time-blind system runs unpatched, you are a passenger in a vehicle with no rear-view mirror and a windshield that only shows the next 50 feet.
To stop being a victim of the time-blind system, you have to stop waiting for your brain to learn naturally and start forcing continuity onto the hardware. You cannot trust memory to guide you. Your memory is not a witness, it's an editor, and it's biased, so you need manual overrides. The first one is the Playback Rule. Before you repeat a behavior that has historically led to a dead end, an impulsive purchase, a toxic argument, a familiar procrastination loop, you pause, and you reconstruct the last time. Your brain will offer you the highlight reel, the excitement, the relief, the peak. Reject it. Force the ending. Don't ask what happened. Ask, how did I feel exactly 2 hours after it was over? Lock on to the physical signal, the hollow in your stomach, the fatigue, the quiet regret. By doing this, you reattach the action to its real emotional consequence. You inject back the payload your system usually deletes. You start building bridges between islands.
The second override is the Future Snapshot. When you're standing on the edge of a decision, especially in a hot state, confidence, desire, urgency, you project yourself 24 hours forward. Not in abstract goals, not in success, in texture. What does the room look like? How does your body feel after the high fades? If you're about to accept a project you don't have time for, imagine tomorrow night. The specific pressure behind your eyes, the weight in your chest as the deadline gets close. This isn't visualization. It's a tactical attempt to make the future emotionally present. You're giving future you a seat at the table in a system that usually treats them like a stranger. The final override is the Temporal Anchor. Because your brain refuses to store the middle of life, the friction, you archive it manually. Keep a reality log. In the middle of a recurring habit or a new endeavor, write 3 sentences about what it feels like right now. Not the story you'll tell later. Raw data. I'm bored. My focus is gone. This is heavier than I expected. Later, when your time-blind system whispers, it wasn't that bad, this time will be easy, you return to the anchor.
You are building an external hard drive for continuity. You are preserving what your internal editor would erase. You are leaving evidence that the glitch cannot rewrite. The goal of these patches isn't to make you perfect. It's to stop you from living in a fragmented timeline where your own life keeps surprising you. Your brain will never see the full movie. It will always be blinded by the present and distorted by a few loud memories. So you become the architect. You connect the scenes yourself. You stop being a pile of unrelated emotional blocks and start becoming a continuous being. You move from passenger to navigator.
If this diagnostic report exposed gaps in your internal clock, help expand the signal. Like, subscribe, and ask yourself, what mistake have you repeated because your brain deleted the pain of last time? Share it in the comments. Stay awake. The system is always running.